Good morning. I agree to start with an applause, shall we? Yay! Welcome to the second day of the United Cities and Local Governments Retreat 2025. Retreats are always very special spaces, and we have a lot of problems trying to explain that to our membership and partners. We always try to say to them, look, we want an interactive agenda, but it's always tough to make it interactive because every single person wants to have a space to say what they want to say. Still, I think this retreat is a safe space, like we were saying yesterday. Maybe not as interactive as we would have liked it to be, because there are many people that will be taking the floor, and that leaves little room for further debates. But it is a very inclusive and a very real space. I would say a very pragmatic space. It is not scripted. And it is not scripted because although all of you know more or less in which sessions you are going to be playing a role, we are very open about what the outcomes of the retreat should be. And as I was saying yesterday, during our first day with the Global Task Force Principals meeting, I think it is time for us to explore what regrouping means in these complex times, but also what our own strengths and powers are. You know, we are convinced that the capacity that we have to unite together is our power, the power of we. That is still a superpower that we need to keep close and to realize every single day how important it is. But the three vectors that I propose to you to explore throughout this week, as I was saying yesterday, would be trust. And trust not only for the institutions that we represent, but trust in each other. Trust that the movement is here for a reason, that the hundreds of years that we have been able to stick together as cities, as local and regional governments, mean that there is a pathway forward. This is not a time for reactions only. We will not be able to progress and to hold on to some of the values that we have been defending over the past 100 years if we only react to policy. In order to bypass the curve, we need to develop a joint agenda. And that joint agenda will need to be an agenda of local democracy and participation. The inclusive participation that we are trying to achieve by calling the youth to be with us. Sure, everyone, young people, old people, everyone needs to be on board. But the vision of young people is extremely important. And so I am very pleased to welcome today an important delegation of young leaders and also young elected officials. Thank you very much. It is not simple for a network like ours to be able to convene those groups. Sometimes we don't know where we should start. Who are you? How do we get to know you? Who do you represent? So it has been work that we have been doing over the past decade, I would say, to get to know the major groups of youth, to get to know leaders, and to be able finally to have you here with us as an integral part of our policy development. And it is our proposal that from United Cities and local governments, we secure that engagement as well with the rest of the Global Task Force. It is meaningful. It will be hard. It will not be simple. But this is a space that I think can really contribute to a different type of multilateralism at a moment where multilateralism is more critical than ever. Look, we are in a moment where there seem to be no rules, or at least all the rules that we knew are being broken in one way or the other. And that is extremely dangerous because it gives you a sense It can make you react and say, okay, we need to stop it here. That's kind of what I hope this group of people will do, right? But it can also make you feel, oh, yeah, there is nothing we can do. We just need to let go because nothing we can do makes a difference. I don't agree with that. And I think our resilience is the proof that throughout time we have been here to make a difference. And the preparedness that we need to get ready for is a type of resilience that might need to put our own unity on the agenda. You know, for the last 10 years, I would say that our own capacity to organize was not the main purpose. We were a vehicle, and we were developing policy. It might be the time, I'm just leaving it out there, to put a focus on how we self-organized again. The self-organization is critical of the constituency, and we wouldn't be able to do it, or it would not be meaningful enough if we don't have all the partners joining. And that is what this multilateral space, this local multilateralism is about. And that's what the Global Task Force meeting showed us yesterday, and why we wanted to start with the Global Task Force. And finally, that acts on vision and shaping the future. We need to realize that a lot of what we are going through is also part of a failure of addressing some very, very critical issues. And one of those critical issues is equality in all shapes and forms. There is a lot of people that do not feel represented, that do not feel that anybody is taking care of them. This is very true. You can see that in our neighborhoods. You can see it at a national and regional level. And it is something that the movement needs to be responsible about, feel ownership about. And I say the movement, yes, certainly the political leadership of the movement, but not alone. This is the last concept that I want to leave with you today before we start going through what we are going to do this week. I think we are in a moment where, for the last decade, we have been acknowledging the important role that political leaders have in changing reality, in changing the models, in finding alternatives, etc. I think that the movement has put political representatives up front, has given them a voice, has strengthened their visibility. It might also be the time to protect political leadership a little bit. We see more in more parts of the world, there is less and less people wanting to run for office. And the people that run for office might not be the ones that we want them to run for office, right? And the reason for that is that, being a politician nowadays doesn't look that good, right? And still they are the ones that are doing things for us, for the community. So beyond opening up the space for the political voices, which is our main objective, and we should never forget that, I hope this retreat can be a space for our political leadership to get inspired. I promise you, we are not only asking you for solutions this week. We'll ask you for solutions in other places. This week, we want you to feel why you are doing it, why you are important, and why your vocation to serve at local level is important. I think that is the vision of the organization, and I am convinced that it will be part of our resilience and it will enable us to regain trust. So, would you be ready for that this week? Yes? Sure? Good. So in that context, today, what are we going to do? You are used from us. We want to ask your opinion about things, so get ready. You are going to be using Mentimeter. If you don't know what it is, ask around, because you will be given a code, and there will be an interactive exercise. We are going to be asking a couple of questions just to frame the day. And we are going to start with a very interesting presentation after that from a flagship program that we are developing with youth leaders, with city leaders. It will be a dialogue among political leadership and youth representatives that are active in sustainability. It is a program that we are putting in place with Bloomberg Philanthropies. They will explain everything about it in a little while. The rest of the day is going to be dedicated to localization. We are convinced that Agenda 2030 and the SDGs continue to be a very solid, valid framework for the work of the movement, and we will be dedicating time to that. And we will have an afternoon that is going to be looking at, climate justice, the challenge of the climate fight, but looking at it from the perspective of equality and justice, and hopefully gathering in those discussions everything that we have learned, working together with the different organizations that are dedicated to that within the Global Task Force. So a lot on our plates, a lot of opportunities, I would say, a lot of diversity in the room, never enough. There could be more diversity, but we do have all parts of the world represented. And I am very, very excited to see the youth voices joining us. So with that, I would say, let us kick it off. And I don't know where Sarah is. She's there. Sarah, drive us through the interactive exercise. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilia. Thank you, Emilia. This was a very nice introduction and many keywords hidden in your speech. But of course, we want to start with your keywords and with your ideas. So I hope that Mentimeter is more or less known. If not, please raise your hand and get out your cell phone. Because Mentimeter is a consultation exercise you can do through your phone. So here you can access, please, through your phone or computer, menti.com. Yeah, I see most of you are doing this. Thank you so much. And then you go into the presentation by putting 74753953. Yeah, we will wait a little bit because I see now you are getting in. We have 20 participants. We will have more. Good. So this, as Emilia was saying, localizing for us has been one of our instruments to move the connection between our members and United Nations and all the partners. But of course, it has also been an instrument for our own work to change. So the first question is to rank. To what extent has the 2030 agenda influenced your work? So please answer also on personal level, so for your work. I think that's a quite high ranking. 8.0 is very high and now goes down, but thank you, and 72 answers is quite substantive, so we can see it is, it was and it is a game changer. So, because the last one, 10, as you could see, completely transformed, it was, of course, this was is quite specific. So we can go to the next question. What are the key actors to collaborate with in advancing sustainable development in your territory? And please read the sentence right. It is about sustainable development. So it's not only global agendas.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm just curious who is answering what. So, I mean, get used to this. We can ask at any time, right? And so I'm just curious, Greg, what did you answer concerning the first question we had on how much it has influenced your agenda?
8.
Sorry?
8 out of 10 in terms of the score.
The score, yes.
Yeah. And on this one, so who are the key actors? If it said who should be the key actors, then I would have answered differently.
Okay.
So I've answered national government. I noticed that local government's not even there.
Right.
So, but if it said who should be the key actors, I would have answered differently.
Okay, anybody else that wants to react?
Maybe,
Sarah, maybe from your side?
Maybe here in this table. What did you answer, Andreas?
The question number 1.
Yeah, and number 2.
Number 2, it's of course the national government, because we need money from the national government for our sustainable development.
And number 2 and number 1?
Yeah, I gave 9 points because the city of Cologne, we made a big report, 250 sites in the booklet, and so our orientation is very much on this SDGs in our city.
Thank you. That's a high score.
Yeah,
Good, and here we see...
to me, it does make sense, but I like your reflection, Greg, on who should it be. It would have been a different answer. Who wants to share what they have, what they have put in the Mentimeter? Any other reaction? Who has said that youth representatives are the key actors to move forward? Can you show hands? Who has reacted like that? You've said that. And why did you? And where do you come from? I know, but maybe the rest doesn't.
I just feel I should not have raised my hand. I don't understand why we will be driving sustainable development goals for the future, about the future which will be made up of youth, and we are not consulting youth.
Well, very good feedback from the CEO of the South African Local Government Association. Thank you very much for that reflection. I think that's exactly why we are trying to build up that structural dialogue with youth, because somehow we find it important, but still it doesn't really show in the numbers. I would almost say many of the people that have answered youth representatives are probably the youth leaders that are in the room. And Sarah, are we ready to move to the next question?
Yeah, but I would like to ask who said private sector. I'm sorry. I would
very
like
good.
to know, in this table, anybody said private sector? No one? Here in this table? Private sector, private sector. Can I know private sector?
Nobody private sector?
10.
Yes, it was here, private sector. Lautaro, a ver, sector privado, ¿por qué?
Sector privado porque el Estado es mandatorio para el tema de sostenibilidad. El sector privado es el que produce bienes de consumo, servicios, y debe estar totalmente involucrado, y es sobre el que hay más terreno para crecer en concientizarlo hacia la importancia de la sostenibilidad.
Gracias. El Lautaro de Esteban Echeverría y también representando a Mercociudades en este grupo. Shall we move to the next question?
Yes, we will move to the last one. So what comes next? I mean, share one keyword that defines the post-2030 agenda.
One. Oof.
Yeah, one, because hope, culture, action, social agenda, chaos. Wow. Yeah, this is, as more people will say the word, as bigger is the word. So, There are culture activists, that's good. Peace.
Well, I like that chaos is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
There is a sense of hope in here. Yes.
And peace is becoming bigger.
Yeah.
And hope. Yeah, thank you very much. These are important words we will probably hear the day over, but now I would like to make the bridge, because we will now give the floor to Maria Alejandra, who is introducing us to the flagship.
Yeah, I think there is a video before that, Sarah.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. So let's go to the video. Let us keep those words in mind. Are you happy about the Mentimeter? They are a bit shy, right? We need to shake them a bit. Maybe more music
I think
later.
so. Maybe we can do another one this evening.
Yeah.
So that we can.
We'll see whether we improve. Thank you very much, Sarah, for this.
With local governments on the front lines of response, mayors are the first and last mile of action, mobilizing aid, protecting infrastructure, and driving innovative solutions to build resilience. But they are not alone. Young people are stepping up, bringing fresh ideas, grassroots energy, and new perspectives. With 1.8 billion young people worldwide, their leadership has never been more crucial in shaping policies and driving local solutions. To power this movement, the Youth Climate Action Fund launched at COP28, backed by Bloomberg Philanthropies, UCLG, and the Bloomberg Center for Public Innovation. And what a year it's been! Over 98 cities across 39 countries, spanning 6 continents and representing 62 million residents, have stepped up, receiving 2,367 applications and awarding over $4 million to 1,102 youth-led projects. Nearly 4,000 young people, ages 15 to 24, are making a difference, acting locally, shaping policy, and revitalizing climate governance. The Youth Climate Action Fund is igniting a new era of climate leadership, where young people and mayors co-create bold local solutions. This isn't just about policies. It's about action, hope, and a shared vision for a thriving planet, led by those who will inherit it. And this is just the beginning. Round 2 is bigger than ever, with more funding, projects, and a deeper commitment to youth leadership. Building on Round 1's success, we are expanding coaching, learning opportunities, and global platforms to enhance how mayors and young people co-create urgent climate solutions. Let's celebrate what we've accomplished and get ready for an even bolder second year. Because when young people and mayors work together, cities change, and so does the world.
Let's see, it works. Good morning, everybody. How are you? You see this? This is our logo from the Youth Climate Action Fund. But how's the energy? Did you like the video? Yes, you did? I'm very happy. So please, let's big welcome to this session that is called From Vision to Action, Youth and Mayors Leading the Climate Solutions. As you have seen and heard Emilia and heard Sarah, this day of the retreat is going to be talking about the Agenda 2030, the global agendas. But we want to move a little bit further and to see how actually we are, from the local level, transforming these global commitments into local realities. And this is what you do together. So while global agendas are giving us this kind of framework, we know that the key process is also a local level. It's with youth leaders, with communities, with political leaders, co-create, co-design, co-govern the different initiatives. And this is part of our transformative power as local communities. So among these initiatives, we have the Youth Climate Action Fund. I guess you saw the numbers. This is and as Emilia said, this is a flagship program that we are developing here with the support of Bloomberg Philanthropies and implemented by UCLG and other partners. You saw the numbers. We have 98 cities for round 1, 92 cities for round 2. And this is actually more than just a bunch of projects created together. Actually, what is doing this program is moving forward and showing how youth leaders can actually work with mayors together towards a better future. In this case, focus on climate action. So we have the protagonists over here, some of our mayors and political leaders, and some of the youth representatives that are leading the projects in the territories. So please be welcome, and we're going to be having like a super fast dialogue with you. We want to hear your voices. We don't want to focus a lot on the program development because that's something that we do every day, but we want to know your opinions regarding your challenges, what you have learned. And for sure, and I am very interested in knowing how this program have actually shifted the way local governments and youth work together. And this is perfect for starting this conversation in the retreat. So to start with this, we are here with Claudia Huech, which is from Bloomberg Philanthropies. And Claudia, I wanted to know first from you, you can tell me what happens when mayors and youth leaders collaborate to transform their cities through climate action.
Thanks so much, Mariale, and it's great to be here with all of you. Greetings from Bloomberg Philanthropies, from our founder, Mike Bloomberg, and from our CEO, Patty Harris. This is a program, I'm a member of the government innovation team at Bloomberg Philanthropies, where I lead on the development of new initiatives. And this is a program that's near and dear to my heart. I feel it's one of the most inspiring programs that in many years of working in philanthropy that I've ever seen. And at the government innovation team at Bloomberg Philanthropies, we believe that cities, to solve the significant challenges that they are facing at the global and the local level, so these programs are also all landing in the cities, that cities need new and innovative ways to solve problems in a more ambitious way. And that's what we are trying to equip cities with. And part of that is, part of our vision is for cities not only to look inward to solve problems, but to really be a platform and to invite everyone to share their problems, and then to really have the awareness and have the willingness to understand that problems, that contributions and solutions really come from every place. When we were creating the Youth Climate Action Fund, we looked around, we were looking at how our cities currently, that was about a year and a half ago, engaging young people. We found many examples. We found, my favorite example is always mural painting, or kind of creating an urban garden. So there were a lot of these examples, but there were not a lot of examples of meaningful engagements, really having a conversation with young people. How are they defining the problem differently from how older people like me might do that? And what are then the solutions?
Thank you so much, Maria Alejandra. And now we'll have a quick round where all cities and their youth representatives will speak. And I'd like to start with the city of Kitchener. So we have here the mayor of Kitchener and UCLG co-president, Mr. Barry Barbanovic, and a youth representative from the city of Kitchener, Darren Bain. So I'd like to speak now a little bit about inclusive governance and youth inclusiveness in that governance and how we're co-governing with youth. So I'll start with Darren, if I can. So based on your experience in this program, how are young leaders playing a different role in shaping local climate projects?
Thank Thank you for that question. So my name is Darren Bainey, everyone. I'm a student at the University of Waterloo, pursuing my bioinformatics option degree, but I also started a social enterprise called the Young Guy Initiative, which represents the needs, interests, and aspirations of young people. So when I look at how young people sort of are leading differently and working with our governments to build ideas and co-create solutions that can be implemented from a local level, but also globally, I see a lot of creativity and freedom that has come from the work that we do. And that's because of our ability to mobilize and connect, not just within our cities, but globally. We don't have these barriers that many generations before had. Yes, there are certain barriers, but our ability to create has been made easier. But why is that necessary? It's because as young people, I think we understand the necessity and the urgency of an issue such as climate change and sustainability. And what we are seeing is that because we understand that, because we know the cause-effect relationship between decisions that are being made by leadership now, we know that the issues have a bigger effect on us because we're the ones going to inherit and adopt many of the decisions that are going to be made and how they'll implement and affect us in the future. So tying all this together, what the Bloomberg Fund has done for us and how it has really enabled us really to create partnerships. Yesterday, Mayor Berry talked about civil society as a link, and I see that closely working with the City of Kitchener, being able to provide us with a partnership and a platform to be able to do our ideas and our events. Recently, last year, we hosted a hackathon, and as I mentioned before, creativity and freedom, I saw so many different young people coming up with ideas for issues related to the City of Kitchener on flooding in particular, and seeing how we're able to connect, enable, it brought about this thinking of we are possibly able to create purposeful, meaningful, and impactful solutions once we are trusted by the cities, once we are trusted by private organizations, different levels of government within the city. And to tie this all together to the first point I was making regarding mobilization and this connectivity, what I've seen is that it has enabled us to, once again, connect and build beyond. But how do we lead really is about creating, being an example and being an example for other youth to be able to take on and tackle these solutions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. Hello. Now, Mayor, taking into account what Darren has said, how has this experience reshaped the way that the dynamics between local government and youth leadership, and what mechanisms are in place now to instill that kind of youth leadership into the city governance?
Thanks a lot for the question, and it's great to be here. And I do want to start off by just thanking Bloomberg Philanthropies and Mike Bloomberg for supporting this initiative and partnering with UCLG on it. I will say for the City of Kitchener, this has really allowed us to take the value that we put in youth and the opportunity for youth to show leadership in our community to the next level. Often when people talk about youth, they talk about, oh, youth are the next generation of leaders. The reality is we have to accept that they are actually already the leaders today, and we don't need to wait for them to show leadership in future generations. And this program has, in fact, allowed that to take place in climate action. But we haven't only seen it in climate action in our community, we've seen it in a number of other areas. So as a city, for example, we have a Kitchener Youth Advisory Council that's been in place for a number of years, where youth take initiatives on various issues of social justice, where they lead a youth awards every year, and so on. And this program has really allowed us to see how do we further take climate action, which we know is a priority in the community, and particularly a priority for youth, because they're going to be inheriting the planet and looking after it for future generations, really taking that to the next level. In our own community, we had 16 projects as part of phase one. Darren's was one of them, but a variety of initiatives that really showed how young people can not only make a difference amongst young people, but also amongst adults as well in terms of the programs that are in place. The last point that I want to make is, for cities, I think what's really important is look at how can we meaningfully engage youth participation in all of the work that we do. So for example, as a city, we've adopted the UN Sustainable Development Goals in our strategic plan. And in the last version of that plan, in the community group that was put together to work on it, we insisted on having youth representatives as part of that committee. And we're doing that now regularly with a number of our strategic plans. And I think that's important because you can't just sort of leave youth off to the side saying, hey, they're just going to come along. They actually want to actively engage and participate, and these kinds of programs allow that to happen. So,
thank you so
thanks.
much. Yeah, thank you so much, dear Mayor. Hello. Thank you so much, dear Mayor. And I think definitely this speaks a lot to what we're doing now in reviewing the SDGs. And for example, SDG 13, the SDG on climate action, has an indicator 13.2, which is about instilling local climate action plans into national governments. And with these kind of examples, we can now say that we should expand those type of indicators into including the local governments and doing kind of not only a multi-level governance, but a whole of governance view into what climate action is. So thank you very much for this.
Gracias, Pablo. Ahora voy a pasar al español, al castellano, así que si quieren ponerse sus devices. Vamos a ir desde la punta de América hasta abajito, en Argentina, donde tenemos aquí a nuestras compañeras Marcela Petrantonio y a Milena Pavón, que es la representante de los jóvenes del gobierno de Tandil. Entonces en esta sección queríamos preguntarles qué pasa más allá de la visión del clima, ¿no? Más allá de nosotros, este proyecto habla de clima, pero ¿qué pasa si vemos un poco más allá sobre esto? Entonces, Milena, te quiero preguntar a ti, ¿de qué manera tu experiencia con este proyecto, con este programa, te ha empoderado para ver la acción climática de una manera que responda un poco a estos desafíos que plantea la juventud?
Bueno, primero que nada, buenos días a todos. Gracias, Mari, por la invitación. Celebro este espacio de escucha a los jóvenes, así que muchas gracias en principio. Nada, como para arrancar y poner un poco en contexto, mi trabajo de todos los días, coordino la Casa de las Juventudes, un espacio institucional que pertenece a la municipalidad, en donde en la diaria trabajamos con problemáticas de emergencia o urgencia, como así decirlo, por así decirlo. Y la verdad que traer el proyecto Huella Joven, trabajar con más de 400 chicos y chicas que se acercan a la dirección de manera voluntaria para conocer más de qué se trata, para pensar en cómo llevar a cabo un proyecto que no sea para bien propio, sino para el espacio donde pertenece, ya sea su escuela, su club de fútbol, su club de deporte, digamos, su barrio. La verdad que para mí fue muy gratificante estar en ese tipo de espacio, digamos. La verdad que a nivel personal, si vos me preguntás de qué manera me empoderó, de esto, de estar todos los días en la diaria con una problemática, con las futuras generaciones haciéndose cargo y haciendo presencia en trabajo, en pensar un proyecto que a la larga va a traer un impacto ambiental. Así que, nada, en ese sentido, muy feliz y nada, y celebro, como te decía.
Muchas gracias, Milena. Me gustó esta cosa de, damos un aplauso, sí, esto de hacerse cargo, ¿no? Porque, como decía el alcalde de Kirchner, no es la generación futura, sino es la generación de ahora la que está actuando sobre esto. Entonces, ahora pasemos a Marcela Petrantonio, secretaria de Desarrollo Productivo e Innovación de la Municipalidad de Tandil. Marcela, quiero saber cómo por medio de esta iniciativa consideras que tu ciudad ha impulsado el liderazgo juvenil más allá de la óptica específica del cambio climático.
Bueno, vaya pregunta. Primero, buenos días a todos y a todas. Claudia tiene cara muy emocionada de conocer, porque cuando uno trabaja, en este caso esta sociedad hermosa que nuestro movimiento de ciudades ha realizado con Bloomberg, bueno, llegan mails con personas que firman esos mails y muchos webinars y encuentros virtuales y bueno, un placer para nosotros. Yo vengo de una ciudad pequeña intermedia que se llama Tandil, que como decía Mariale, está ubicada muy al sur de nuestro planeta, en Argentina. Y para una ciudad pequeña e intermedia como Tandil, este programa fue una excusa, este proyecto fue una excusa de movilización en el territorio que nos permitió ordenar cuestiones capaz que estaban sueltas. Y celebro la pregunta porque va más allá de estas dos palabras claves que nos unen hoy, que es las juventudes y cómo mitigamos o adaptamos nuestras ciudades al cambio climático. Y cuando digo fue una excusa, tengo acá algunas de esas reflexiones que uno anota para los informes finales y esta rigurosidad que tienen estos programas, ¿no? Porque hay un seguimiento, un monitoreo, bueno, hay mucho trabajo. Y me anoté 7 cosas. Además me gusta el número 7, porque el 7 significa muchas cuestiones, ¿no? De buena vibra, además. Entonces, para responder a la pregunta de María, le diría, primero, el empoderamiento juvenil. Este fue un programa que nos permitió, como decía Milena, ordenar y profundizar y acompañar y ponerlos arriba de la mesa a las juventudes. Y cuando hablo de las juventudes, hablo de las juventudes y su diversidad sexual, su diversidad en términos de culturales. Y estos 400 jóvenes, como ella decía, bueno, responden a estos distintos colectivos y nos permitió conocerlos desde otro lugar y acercarnos. Entonces, primer punto, el empoderamiento juvenil. Porque además conocimos sus problemáticas, el trabajo, el primer empleo, cómo acceder a la vivienda, a su primera vivienda, familias disfuncionales, niños de 14, 15 años con problemáticas que tal vez de otra manera no hubiéramos conocido. Segundo tema, cómo profundizamos la articulación entre las juventudes y la sociedad civil y la academia. ¿Por qué? Porque los proyectos en sí y el programa en sí valora esta co-construcción de soluciones. Entonces nos encontramos con jóvenes que conocieron por primera vez la universidad y cómo acceder a la educación superior. Nos encontramos con jóvenes que no conocían la sociedad de fomento de su barrio y esto les permitió acercarse. Entonces, esa articulación con la ciudadanía, con el sector privado, el sector académico, cuando digo el sector privado, no solamente la empresa, sino las organizaciones no gubernamentales. Tercer punto, las soluciones. Recién decía el alcalde, la verdad que conocimos soluciones innovadoras, soluciones frescas. Cuando digo frescas es porque muchas veces no significan recursos, significan gestionar problemas de una manera que permitió que estas juventudes resolvieran situaciones específicas y llegan para quedarse en las ciudades, ¿no? Cuarto, impacto social y comunitario. La verdad que cuando uno ve determinados proyectos, Mariale me reta y no puedo hablar de proyectos, pero cuando uno ve los proyectos, cómo escalan en un barrio, cómo resolvieron un problema, cómo ese barrio compró la forma de resolver el problema. Dice, bueno, qué bien, qué impacto directo. Cuando digo impacto, digo porque además lo mido, ¿no? El efecto está cualitativo, pero el impacto es medible. 6, nos permitió crear una red de jóvenes líderes. La pucha, si no es importante, ¿no? Esto de Tandil tuvo en la primera ronda 21 proyectos. Ya salimos a convocar la segunda ronda. Entonces hoy tenemos una red, tenemos una comunidad de líderes jóvenes que con la excusa que nos propuso nuestro movimiento CGLU más la filantropía de Bloomberg, hoy nos permite tener juventudes empoderadas, líderes trabajando en red. ¡Wow! Importante. Y para finalizar, Tandil ha podido trasladar con otras ciudades de América Latina su éxito en el desarrollo del programa. Entonces hoy otras ciudades lo están replicando, ciudades pequeñas, ciudades vecinas, ciudades que dicen, pero mira, pudieron, bueno, a ver cómo son las bases, las condiciones, busquemos la excusa para movilizar a las juventudes a las que tanto le debemos, porque como decía el alcalde, son presente, no es el futuro. Por eso, gracias por este espacio.
Muchas gracias a ti, Marcela. Y un poco por tejer, ¿no?, estas dinámicas que pasan en el YCAF, que les llamamos nosotros, con la conversación más general que vamos a tener durante este día, que es la Agenda 2030. Hay un punto que me parece muy interesante de lo que traes, y es ver precisamente la integralidad de la agenda, ¿no? Cómo, si yo me paro desde la óptica del cambio climático, puedo llegar a tener y a impactar desde un objetivo, vamos a ponernos el objetivo 13, ¿cómo puedo yo impactar el objetivo 5 de igualdad de género? ¿Cómo puedo yo impactar el objetivo 8 en términos de empleo? ¿Cómo, por ejemplo, puedo, y lo comentaste tú y aparte salió aquí, ¿no?, cómo es importante el tema de la cultura, ¿no?, en esto que todavía no es objetivo, pero muy pronto seguramente lo será? Entonces, esto es muy interesante, Marcela, y muchas gracias por traernos esta perspectiva. Ahora, Pablo, si continúas.
Muchas gracias, Marielle. And now we have spoken a little bit about governance, and we have spoken about the importance of working intersectionally and the amount of lessons that has brought. So I would like to speak a little bit now about how we drive some impact from that and how we scale that impact from the lessons that we have learned. So I'm going to go to the city of Athens, and with me are here the Deputy Mayor, Roxane Bey, and a youth representative from the city of Athens, Mr. Petros Apostolakis. Welcome to the both of you. Petros, I'd like to ask you first, what will be the most, what would the city of the future, the most youth-driven, climate-resilient city in the future look like, and how can the success be replicated elsewhere? So you can derive your experience, of course, from the projects in the program. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Look, when we talk about building climate-resilient cities, we have to be totally honest about something. It's not just about the environment, it's about justice, and it's also about dignity. Yeah. And that's what we specifically learned working in the slum neighborhoods of Athens. And let me tell you what we saw. I met a student who told me about being stopped and frisked by the police in their own neighborhood, in the same streets that they are trying to transform. Yeah. Another student told us that her mother being injured made her not being able to afford prep school for the university exams. These aren't just stories, they are the real barriers to climate action that we face. When we started the action and the whole YCAF project, people would tell us that these neighborhoods are very difficult to work with, that they have very complex problems, that the young people wouldn't be interested to participate in what we did. And let me tell you something, they were completely wrong. Despite the crumbling infrastructure that we have, the problematic educational system, the systemic barriers that we face, the young people of Athens they cared enough to participate in the project. And it was a month after going to the school that we ran into one of the teachers. I'm not making that story up. Athens is a very small place. You run into people. And he told us that days after going to the school, the students will still talk about that day that we were in the school, talking about what they want to do with their communities. And I think that was because for the first time, someone actually asked them what they want to do with their neighborhood. Now, I believe that climate resilient cities are not going to build in our fancy offices. They're not going to be built by people who never walk the streets. They're going to be built by the neighborhood and by the people who know the exact problems that they face. And this can happen everywhere. I mean, Athens was a very friendly space. The municipality was very friendly with us. But it needs the local governments to actually stop talking and start doing stuff. They should be starting challenging things, and they should be also willing to hand power to young people. And trust me, I believe and I know that we as a generation totally understand that power comes with responsibility. Through the project that we did, we saw that climate resilience, is not just about green spaces and sustainable infrastructure, that it's also about creating friendly spaces and safe streets for the young people who walk. It needs economic sustainability, so the families cannot only think about everyday survival, and also a space where the communities can actually shape their future. And I think that's something totally fighting for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Petros, and I completely agree with it's through the communities, it's from the communities that local climate action can actually be shaped. So, Deputy Mayor, taking what Petros has said into account, I'd like to ask you, how can youth-led climate action influence city policy and governance structures beyond isolated projects? And if there are any places in Athens where that can be institutionalized?
Thank you also for having us today. Thank you to Bloomberg for this opportunity and to UCLG for having this space. I wanted to start off by saying, first of all, what Petros mentioned, excuse me, what Petros mentioned that the youth knows that, power or decision-making comes with responsibility. This is something that we've actually seen in action. And I wanted to say that in Athens, it's been since the 80s when we actually had an open dialogue with communities in this way. And then I was not even born, and of course Petros was not even born. So this is a new thing for us, a revolutionary thing for us, but very important thing because Athens had seen it before and it actually created change back then. So, there's no excuse in 2025 to not do it again. What I wanted also to stress was the fact that we did see, and it was just the first cycle, so we were looking forward to much more action. We did see in the hardest, let's say, or more challenging places in Athens, we saw the impact of what happened with this face-to-face dialogue with youth. And it has to do with the core spirit of resilience in a heavily built urban space, such as Athens. Athens is such a city, which is at capacity, due to having a very heavy population and facing so many challenges from that. So we've seen that face-to-face interaction is crucial. Young people engage more deeply when they have direct access to city officials, policymakers, and peers. So these meetings have fostered a strong sense of inclusion and civic responsibility. We've also seen that momentum is very important because, sustaining youth engagement is hard, especially when you have bureaucratic or procedural delays, because young people are action-driven, so long wait times can lead to disengagement. So this is something that we've identified as a challenge that we need to work on. And, of course, overcoming climate nihilism, because we have that. Unfortunately, you still have young people who, do not believe that there is any hope, especially young people who have not been able to be shown, how progress is made and how the way forward will be drawn. So we aim to counter this by providing these clear, actionable pathways for change, and optimism, which is grounded in measurable impact, because these are very important things. So we are very much looking forward to the second round. The initiatives. I have a lot of things here. The urban greening and school initiatives, innovative climate storytelling, skills development and career readiness, community engagement, science-driven impact. All of these things have happened. I think we did not even believe that it was possible. So we are very optimistic about the future. And I'd like to think that institutionalizing youth action, and this is because this was the core of your question, through actual institutions will manage to take us to this next level. So we are establishing a municipal youth council, which for us, is a big step. We are already having representatives, take part in our meetings and in our councils and being, in the preparation meetings and everything. So this will be an important legacy for the city, I believe, and of course it will. It's actually going to lead to youth representation, institutionalized youth representation, not just a one-off for the city, and especially having to do with intergenerational goals such as climate planning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. I cannot commend you enough for creating this youth council. It's really a huge achievement. Thank you so much for doing that in your city. And what I'm hearing is spaces of co-governance. I'm hearing 7 key lessons that you have learned in Tandil. I'm hearing climate optimism, defeating nihilism, kind of all of the ingredients to reshape what we need to do in the future. Because what Emilia has said in the morning, she said all the rules are being broken. They are being broken. We are breaking the promises we have made in terms of the Paris Agreement, the SDGs, all of the multilateral environmental agreements. We are not really complying with them. So we need to build a new narrative. We need to build a new pact. We need to build the thing that will let us do development, that will let us achieve the climate goals. And to do that, we need to base ourselves on the evidence that you're carrying on forward. So these evidence-based narratives is what need to shape what comes up ahead. So thank you so much. I'm going to leave María Alejandra now.
Gracias. Ahora volvemos a la América Latina, de nuevo con la experiencia de nuestro último par, que vienen de la ciudad de Cuenca, Pedro Abril y la concejala Jenny Bermeo. Pero vamos a hablar ahora de un punto importante que también hablaba nuestra secretaria general al comienzo de la sesión, la confianza. Y también, por ejemplo, la construcción o el fortalecimiento de redes, que para nosotros en un ambiente como este es increíblemente importante. Entonces voy a comenzar contigo, Pedro, preguntándote, ¿tú cómo crees que los jóvenes y los alcaldes y las tomadoras de decisiones pueden ir un poco más allá de este escepticismo, ¿no?, para crear alianzas duraderas? ¿Tú crees que tiene que ver este diálogo intergeneracional en el hecho de generar un mejor nivel de confianza o diferentes posibilidades de colaboración y co-creación? ¿Cómo lo ves?
Bueno, pues muchas gracias por invitarme aquí. Para mí es un placer compartir con ustedes. He tenido el chance de conocer a los demás jóvenes y a muchas otras personas muy interesantes, y creo que ese es el primer punto. El tema de confianza es indispensable, pero a mí me gusta más hablar de amistad. Cuando un joven tiene la confianza suficiente de volverse amigo de una autoridad local, de un alcalde, de un concejal, de un director, evoluciona el concepto. Tenemos la oportunidad de ir más allá. Ustedes son la voz de la experiencia, los adultos. Yo les puedo asegurar que en mis proyectos, el más joven tenía 85 años, y junto a otro de 10, otro de 15, otro de 18, pero el más joven tenía 85 años. Y por primera vez, luego de años de haber trabajado en un proyecto de sostenibilidad y de cambio climático, un alcalde se acerca a nosotros con tinte juvenil. Autoridades adoptan una actitud que quizá se olvida con el tiempo, que es regresar a ser joven, a ser amigos con facilidad, a ver en un juego la oportunidad de hacer algo que perdure. Entonces, yo creo que sí, que las autoridades pueden construir con nosotros lazos de confianza y amistad que garanticen que una propuesta se mantenga. A nosotros nos gusta escuchar a los adultos, nos fascina. De hecho, es lo que desde pequeños todos aquí debimos haber soñado, ¿no? Sentarnos en la mesa con los adultos y que nuestras ideas sean importantes también. A nosotros, como jóvenes, nos gusta que las autoridades nos escuchen de forma activa. nosotros sepamos que nuestra opinión tiene valor y terminar siendo amigos de ellos, porque ellos demostraron que como jóvenes nuestras iniciativas son valiosas y son poderosas, es lo mejor del mundo. Yo les digo con mucha experiencia y sana confianza, para mí ha sido lo mejor trabajar con adultos que confiaron y apostaron en jóvenes. Los dueños de los lugares en los que intervenimos, los adultos mayores que algunos ya fallecieron con los que trabajamos y las autoridades que confiaron en jóvenes, es verdad, no heredamos del futuro, heredamos del presente como jóvenes. Y gracias por eso, eso es lo que yo tengo que decir. El diálogo intergeneracional es valiosísimo. Tenemos libros de personas que están aquí, personas que con los años de experiencia que tienen y los jóvenes, que lo que a mí más me gusta decir es que nosotros somos imposibles de vencer. Tenemos la suficiente experiencia para no darnos por vencidos. Y a veces somos muy gentiles y generosos con lo que hacemos. Los adultos mayores me enseñaron que ellos trabajan por lo que vivieron y por el valor que le dieron a las cosas. Nosotros trabajamos por lo que soñamos. Y cuando hay alguien en el centro que queda justo en la edad en la que casi la gran mayoría está aquí, que permite vincular a los dos extremos, es el linkage perfecto. A mí me encanta eso.
Me gusta mucho esto de, y lo voy a asumir también ahora como parte del YCAF, esta cuestión de autoridades locales y jóvenes siempre listos para vencer, ¿no? Unidos para vencer. Eso me parece muy motivante, y es muy motivante escucharte y saber lo que están haciendo en conjunto. Concejala Bermeo, yo quería preguntarle, teniendo en cuenta el papel de Cuenca, ¿no? Y el trabajo que ustedes están haciendo, ¿qué papel para usted juegan las redes locales, regionales y globales en apoyar acciones como esta de los jóvenes, o esta que estamos haciendo en el marco del programa YCAF, para que se amplifiquen y se fortalezcan estas redes?
Muchísimas gracias. Buenos días a todos. Un cordial saludo de nuestro alcalde Cristian Zamora. Soy la concejal Jenny Bermeo y para mí es un gusto poder compartir esto, como decía Pedro, que es un sueño para toda autoridad, el poder trabajar en territorio con niños y jóvenes, que para mí no son el futuro, son el presente de un futuro mejor que todos soñamos. En ese sentido, las redes para nosotros han sido unos espacios muy importantes. Cuenca pertenece a más de 10 redes mundiales, pero una de las más importantes y a quien queremos muchísimo es EGLU, quien ha permitido incluso llevar el mes anterior el Foro Mundial a nuestra ciudad, a una pequeña ciudad del mundo que por primera vez fue sede de un Foro Mundial de CGLU, y que nuestra ciudad realmente quedó en la mira, en una mira mundial, y nos ha permitido pues acceder a fondos tan importantes como son de Bloomberg, a quienes agradezco muchísimo por esta oportunidad que nos dieron, porque en esta primera fase nosotros hemos conocido iniciativas espectaculares de jóvenes como Pedro, con esa chispa, con esa alegría de vivir, y como él mismo lo dice, los jóvenes no se dejan vencer. Tenemos iniciativas increíbles que se ha dado en esta primera fase y que se han podido ir cumpliendo poco a poco, y eso nos ha permitido acceder a la segunda parte de estos fondos, que justamente en este mes de febrero, en la próxima semana, estaremos recibiendo los siguientes fondos, porque tenemos proyectos increíbles de parte de nuestra juventud, y es también un tema importante que las redes dan esa confianza tanto a los ciudadanos como a las autoridades, de poder trabajar en espacios que tienen, digamos, sus reglas ya fijas, su seguridad de que sus proyectos se van a dar a conocer, y más aún que se van a dar a conocer en temas mundiales y en eventos mundiales. Yo les puedo comentar, no podemos hablar de proyectos como decía Marce, pero para mí esta iniciativa Bloomberg ha sido increíble, porque he podido conocer cómo es nuestra juventud, tenemos un futuro médico preocupado en soluciones climáticas, que realmente antes de pronto, quienes tenemos un poco más de 40 años, pues quienes se han dedicado a la ciencia y algunas especializaciones, pues no pensaban mucho en el tema climático, pero ahora tenemos jóvenes que a partir de cualquier profesión lo están pensando. Por eso desde Cuenca, y como somos los últimos en intervenir, queremos proponer que se haga una red de jóvenes que han sido benefactores de los fondos Bloomberg para poder dar continuidad y sobre todo un seguimiento. Bien lo decía alguien aquí el día de hoy, realmente nuestro tema de ser autoridades tienen un tiempo, somos temporales, nuestros periodos electorales tienen un tiempo, pero creo que es importante que a través de una red todos los proyectos pues tengan sostenibilidad y sobre todo los jóvenes puedan seguir manteniendo sus ideas a través del tiempo. Eso es lo que podemos comentar desde Cuenca, Ecuador. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, concejala. Tomamos siempre Cuenca con ideas innovadoras. Tomamos su idea y veremos qué se puede hacer con esto. So we finalize our YCAF talk show for now. So I hope you enjoyed this interaction between leaders, political leaders and youth leaders, because we are all leading. So a final reflection is all our agendas are better if we work together. And you have shown us that it is not just about programming, it is not just about funding. It's about what we can learn from each other. It's about what we can do together. And the second idea is that I have from this is that I believe that we should continue exploring and bringing youth to the core of the local governments and on the local action. So thank you so much. Please join me in giving them a round of applause, and thank you to my colleagues. And now we are going to pass to another session with my colleague Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this inspiring panel, for sharing all of your stories, the linkages between youth and mayors and local leaders, youth and of all ages. Today, the idea is to connect the dots. And so we've heard about this project on climate. Now we're going to do a little insight on another project and what other cities are doing, working with each other, working with different stakeholders, and how that relates to the Agenda 2030. So it's not only climate. Yesterday we heard also about nature, resilience, social inclusion. So this is another insight for what is coming throughout the day of connecting those dots. So today I'm accompanied by Xavi Romero, who is a senior environmental officer at the city of Granollers. I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about that. And we're going to share with you some insights from the Interlace project, which is a project that is actually closing now in February 2025, starting in 2020. And it's a Horizon project bringing together cities from Latin America and Europe. If we go to the next slide, we'll see it's a consortium of many different partners. So as I mentioned, 3 cities or territories, including metropolitan areas, from Latin America, and 3 from Europe, including Granollers, 4 city networks, UCLG, but also our section in Latin America, the Local Government Association of Costa Rica, and Climate Alliance, and many other knowledge brokers, academia, communication experts, and NGOs that have been working together for 4 or 5 years in looking at how cities can restore urban ecosystems, how can they integrate nature-based solutions into their planning, and how can they do this in a co-creating manner. So it's not only from the technical side, but a lot of the effort and focus of the Interlace project has been on this aspect of co-creation. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see how the approach that we've been following through these 4 or 5 years has been nature, places, people. So it's not only about the urban nature, but what does that mean for people in terms of places that we come together, that we grow in, that we develop our relationship with the environment and with other people and with the rest of society, and what do people expect from those places. So during 4 or 5 years, we've been seeing what those 6 pilot cities have been doing in terms of nature-based solutions and urban ecosystem restoration, and developing different tools to assess the impact of those nature-based solutions, the need of different interventions in different places to confront aspects of environmental justice, and what can we learn from that in terms of like towards the planning and future development of cities. If we go to the next slide. So throughout those 4 years of all of these partners working together, we've developed a much larger community. Just as you mentioned, these projects are a place to create networks and to share knowledge and share lessons. So we have a community of around 50 cities coming together in the cities, Talk Nature, community of practice that have been exchanging all of this knowledge. There has been a development of urban governance atlas looking at policies, frameworks and instruments that cities have been using, including consultation mechanisms and kind of this kind of tools such as the Youth Climate Action Fund, in which you give the power for others to design the solutions and implement those solutions. We have an online course that we are very happy to host in the Learning with UCLG platform that is free for anyone who wants to learn more about the Interlace project. You can access it. It's available in English and Spanish. And we have also developed different instruments to co-create with citizens. One of the most interesting ones have been the Minecraft engagement game, which is not with youth, but with children, going to children and seeing how they envision the city of the future. And most of us probably don't know how to use Minecraft, but if you tell children to create their school in Minecraft and see how they envision more nature in it, they will do it in 30 minutes. Putting bees, frogs, lakes, trees, all kinds of plants. And it has been very inspiring to see those instruments coming together and inspiring the local governments on how they see the city in a different way. So this is just a very brief overview of what Interlace has been done. But as I mentioned, I have the pleasure to have Xavi Romero from the city of Granollers with us. So I'm going to switch now to Spanish because the idea is to have a little bit of an insight from the city, what being part of this project has been. Entonces, Xavi Romero, bienvenido. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. Y pasemos a la siguiente foto solo para que todos entiendan la ciudad de Granollers, que está a 30 minutos en tren de acá, de donde estamos todos. Este río que ven que atraviesa la ciudad de Granollers es el río Congost, que termina en uno de los lados de Barcelona. No en el lado del aeropuerto, donde muchos de ustedes llegaron, pero al otro lado de la ciudad, el otro límite de la ciudad. Y en los años 80 era uno de los ríos más contaminados de España y de Europa. Y a lo largo de 30 o 40 años se ha transformado en el eje principal de la ciudad ambiental y como permeado a través de toda la ciudad. Y es algo de lo que escucharemos un poco de Xavi Romero. Pero antes de ir a todo este proceso que han tenido, me gustaría saber, un poco conectando con esta pregunta, ¿qué ha sido para Granollers ser parte de este proyecto y de trabajar con otras ciudades? ¿Y por qué trabajan con otras ciudades y en redes como CGLU o en proyectos como estos con ciudades latinoamericanas y de otros contextos?
Buenos días, gracias Juan Carlos. Es un placer para mí participar en este retiro representando a la ciudad de Granollers y al proyecto Interlace. En nuestro caso, trabajar en redes de ciudades nos ha permitido adquirir conocimientos, experiencias que nos han permitido acelerar los proyectos de ciudad, especialmente aquellos proyectos para implementar las soluciones basadas en la naturaleza, que era el foco principal de los trabajos del proyecto Interlace. Compartir éxitos y fracasos entre ciudades también permite adquirir tanto a representantes políticos como a responsables técnicos, pues adquirir habilidades, nuevas capacidades que te capacitan mucho mejor de cara a poder afrontar esos retos urbanos, sobre todo ahora que tenemos tantos impactos del cambio climático. ¿Cuántas veces habrán habido proyectos en solitario de ciudades que sin trabajar de manera cooperada con otras ciudades, se habrán cometido errores que anteriormente ya habrían sido sufridos en otras ciudades de otros ámbitos geográficos. Por lo tanto, esta cooperación es súper necesaria. Y en el caso de Granollers, dentro de esa red de ciudades de Interlace, a nosotros nos ha facilitado mucho el poder afrontar retos y aprender de ciudades como ciudades polacas, que nos han enseñado cómo hacer jardines de lluvia para afrontar mejor episodios de lluvias torrenciales, o cómo seguir inspirarnos en ciudades alemanas que han trabajado en jardines de bolsillo, que son pequeños espacios verdes en zonas urbanas muy densas y a lo mejor degradadas, pero donde también se puede recuperar el verde urbano, o experiencias de ciudades latinoamericanas como monitoreo y seguimientos de ciencia ciudadana en Costa Rica, o proyectos muy destacados de Ecuador, en este caso de Quito, donde proyectos comunitarios están permitiendo recuperar los ríos que cruzan la ciudad de Quito. Una situación similar a la que se vio en Granollers, en el río Congost, que, como explicabas, era un río muy contaminado en los años 80 y hoy en día es un buen ejemplo de recuperación ecológica y social, y que esperamos pues, este logro pues, pueda haber servido de una perspectiva optimista para ciudades como Quito en esta gran aventura y desafío de recuperar ríos urbanos.
No, muchísimas gracias, Xavi. Y sí, es inspirador también haber visto el intercambio entre pues, Latinoamérica y Europa, y un poco ver lo mucho que hay que aprender también bien, siendo latinoamericano, lo que me comentaban las ciudades europeas de cómo esa participación y ese esfuerzo de la comunidad de ser parte de la política es algo que las ciudades europeas decían mucho que podían aprender cuando ya todo está más estructurado en ciudades europeas, por ejemplo. Pero viendo un poco más a este tema de trabajar con la comunidad y con diferentes actores, una de las preguntas que nos hacían al principio, Interlace también trae a universidades, a institutos de diseño, y sé que pues, en Granollers también trabajaron con la comunidad agrícola rural y con diferentes actores. ¿Qué han aprendido de ese proceso? ¿Qué desafíos han tenido? ¿Y cómo lo han llevado adelante para que no sea solamente la ciudad la que implementa esta transformación?
Es evidente que estamos en un periodo donde este tipo de proyecto de ciudad que viene desde arriba hacia abajo ha cambiado, ¿vale? La participación es fundamental. La participación de los agentes locales, regionales, es completamente necesaria, porque necesitamos escuchar su voz para luego dar cobertura a las necesidades de las personas que viven en la ciudad. Para eso nosotros hemos hecho que los agentes locales sean protagonistas, y Interlace nos ha dado la oportunidad de montar foros ciudadanos para que todos estos actores locales participen y tengan una participación activa. Ha sido un proyecto que era un elemento vertebrador del gran programa de la ciudad de Granollers, que es el programa de renaturalización urbana, que va más allá de simplemente recuperar el entorno del río Congost, sino también recuperar barrios próximos e intentar llevar la naturaleza hasta el centro de la ciudad. En este proyecto, Interlace ha colaborado a incrementar los procesos participativos con la ciudadanía, actividades diversas, algunas coorganizadas con las asociaciones de vecinos, y también nos hemos centrado en intentar llegar a aquellos colectivos que son más difíciles de hacer participar. Por ejemplo, en el caso de las personas migrantes, nos hemos dirigido a escuelas de idiomas que enseñan español para de alguna manera también conocer su opinión sobre este proceso de renaturalizar a la ciudad, el proyecto estrella de Granollers en los próximos años. Los jóvenes, lógicamente, como hemos visto hasta ahora, también tienen un papel muy relevante. Con ellos hemos hecho learning tours, que serían una especie de visitas guiadas para que aprendan todos los procesos que estamos llevando a cabo y conocer sus opiniones, aparte de también trabajar con los niños con el programa Minecraft para que ellos también co-creen un poco las soluciones próximas a sus centros escolares. Por otro lado, pues también hemos buscado enfoques más innovadores y aparte de las típicas consultas con las universidades, expertos de naturaleza local, también hemos intentado llegar a la ciudadanía desde enfoques completamente diferentes. Y uno ha sido un programa de investigación comunitaria que ha sido un programa artístico. Y a través del arte hemos hecho una aproximación de la ciudad hacia toda su gestión con el agua. De tal manera que los ciudadanos, con un enfoque completamente diferente, pues han dado sus opiniones y sobre todo nos ha servido para recoger criterios que nos han permitido ejecutar esas obras de neutralización en los próximos años.
Muchísimas gracias, Sai. Sí, no, creo que me gusta mucho bueno, el tema que traes de cultura, de arte, de hablar también otros idiomas, sí, en otros contextos, no solo de la parte técnica, sino para traer esas visiones, esa inspiración y esas conexiones con nuestras ciudades y nuestros lugares. Y también un poco pues, a la última pregunta que te voy a hacer, que es ver cómo Granollers ha usado un proyecto y cómo muchas ciudades que estábamos escuchando han usado la oportunidad de tener un proyecto concreto para vincularlo e innovar dentro de su proceso de ciudad. Y en ese sentido, pues hablando de Granollers, pues estábamos diciendo, desde los 80s han venido trabajando en esta pues, transformación ecológica del río, del modelo ciudad. Y quería preguntarte un poco, más allá de Interlace, que son 4 o 5 años, ¿cuáles crees que son las claves para la continuidad de estos procesos de desarrollo sostenible, ya sea con clima, con biodiversidad, con medio ambiente, inclusión social? ¿Qué lecciones, pues sé que llevas muchos años trabajando en Granollers, qué lecciones nos das para que lo pensemos en el resto del día de hoy?
Pues creo que las ciudades deberíamos hacer menos proyectos específicos, que quizás pueden ser más sencillos y conseguir resultados a corto plazo, pero tendríamos que invertir más en hacer programas de larga duración que tengan beneficios duraderos. Un ejemplo sería una plaza dura de la ciudad completamente pavimentada. Podemos instalar unas macetas de colores con algunas flores y seguramente pues bueno, tendría una buena recepción ciudadana, pero comparado con renaturalizar ese espacio verde, recuperar que sea una zona permeable para el agua de lluvia, que haya unos grandes árboles que capten CO2, den sombra, que se convierta un espacio que tenga un espíritu comunitario, evidentemente tiene unos beneficios a largo plazo y mucho más interesantes. Me es difícil ser ejemplo de decir cuáles son las lecciones, cuáles son el método para conseguir el éxito a largo plazo, pero poniendo de ejemplo mi experiencia en el proyecto de recuperación del río Congost, que evidentemente es un proyecto que tiene más de 30 años de duración, pues algunas lecciones aprendidas que tengo aquí apuntadas. Primero sería ser ambicioso, ¿vale? Necesitamos hacer proyectos que sean transformadores de la ciudad, proyectos que de alguna manera sean la marca de la ciudad. Granollers posiblemente es conocida a nivel nacional como un referente en recuperar un río urbano, ¿vale? Llegar a ese punto que el proyecto sea símbolo de la ciudad. Otro es tener paciencia, ¿vale? Son proyectos que tú siembras hoy y los resultados los recoges muchos años más tarde. Para tener paciencia es importante tener el compromiso de todos los actores. En el caso de Granollers, políticos, técnicos, ciudadanos, todo el mundo ha ido de la par y realmente este proyecto hoy en día es muy bien valorado a nivel general. Otro tema es continuidad, trabajar año tras año. No es válido hacer un trabajo hoy, olvidarnos y volver a hacer otro trabajo de aquí 4 o 5 años. Tiene que ser algo continuo, ¿vale? Así es una mejora continua. Y muy importante, ser multifuncional. Ha habido muchos proyectos de ríos que solo se han enfocado a recuperar la biodiversidad o solo se han enfocado a recuperar lo social, el uso recreativo. En nuestro caso, hemos intentado llevar de la mano las dos cosas, ¿vale? Al final, para afrontar los retos urbanos de cambio climático, necesitas esta multifuncionalidad. Y por último, muy buena difusión y comunicación, ¿vale? Van a aparecer barreras y obstáculos. En el caso de los ríos es muy habitual que hay el estereotipo, la idea preconcebida, el río está sucio, ¿vale? A lo mejor simplemente hay la vegetación de ribera autóctona, pero es necesaria conseguir la evidencia técnica, científica, para poder divulgar, desde sobre todo los equipos directivos de los ayuntamientos, poder divulgar los beneficios y los buenos resultados. Y con todo esto es evidente que se puede conseguir proyectos de ciudad que sean prósperos para el futuro, y este aprendizaje mutuo que tenemos entre todos pues seguramente llegará a buen camino más adelante.
Muchísimas gracias, Xavi. Y bueno, con esto de buscar la multifuncionalidad, quiero cerrar este panel y abrir un espacio interactivo, un juego que vamos a hacer antes de pasar al siguiente panel. Muchas gracias a todos por ser parte de esto. Pueden volver a sus mesas y podemos pasar hasta las instrucciones en los slides. Habrán visto que en sus mesas les acaban de pasar estas tarjetas. Y la idea es que en base a las soluciones basadas en la naturaleza, actually, let me switch to English for this, because the cards are mostly in English. So we're going to do a little exercise so that you can start thinking about these multiple functionalities and how nature-based solutions, biodiversity, climate, and sustainable development are linked to each other. So in groups of 3 or like 2 or 3 people within each table, I want you to choose first one of these red cards, which is a challenge card. It kind of shows 4 different city profiles and specific challenges that city is facing. So you have 4 in each table, but make groups of 2 or 3 so that you can talk to each other more. And with each group of 2 or 3, choose one of these cards, one of the red cards of challenges. And then you will have multiple cards that are showing different nature-based solutions, from wastewater recycling, river and wetland revitalization. And we'll give you 5 minutes to discuss which one or two, to choose 1 or 2 cards that will help you solve or confront the challenge of that city that you chose. So choose one challenge, one red card, and then select the 1 or 2 nature-based solutions that could help you resolve that challenge. And then have a discussion about how you could implement this solution, what other benefits it might have, and what other connections to different SDGs or to different stakeholders can it have. And then after 5 minutes, we will listen to some of the match that you have made and the discussion that you've done around it. If you have any questions, we'll go around, so please go ahead and ask us. Do you understand? Yeah, okay. Sí. Vale. Bueno.
The questions are on the red and the options are on the other cards, correct?
Yes. So you choose one of the red city cards, which are, no, I don't, oh, they were divided. I'll give you from here. Yeah. No, this one. So choose one of these 4. Yeah. Sí. Sí. If you don't have the red city cards with a city and a challenge, please let us know. need any help here? Do you need any help here with the instructions or everything is here? The challenge cards are these red ones, so you choose one of them. That one that's similar to your context or anything, and then you choose one or two of the solutions that could help you solve this. If you want to discuss how you could do it or what other benefits it could bring. We will be going around after asking for your reflections. Okay, so yeah, most tables have already chosen their city card, their challenge. And now choose one or two of the nature-based solution cards that could help you address that challenge. Oh, you don't have cards? Oh, they were taken away from you. Let me. Are you using all of the challenges, or can I take one of them?
All the series. Are we supposed to take
Just one.
Oh, just
Yeah.
one. Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna take away one. I'll just yeah, this one. just because someone is missing a card. Okay. So you'll have Miami, and here you have the nature-based solution cards. Okay, so we'll have 1 or 2 minutes more, and I would like you to share the challenge, the city, and its challenge that you chose, and share the one nature-based solutions that you chose, and what other benefits you can see around it. ¿Me ayudas a preguntar en mesas? ¿Eh? ¿Me ayudas a preguntar en las mesas opuestas? En 1 minuto. You choose one red. You took one challenge for one city. Yeah, and then yeah, 1 or 2 cards. What about orange ones? All of these ones are solutions, but the challenges are on.
Okay.
Yeah.
We focus on just greens to solution.
No, all of these ones are nature-based solutions. So you can choose any of them. Yeah, 1 minute. How is it going over here? Okay, 1 minute. And you should have 1 city card and 1 or 2 nature-based solution cards linked to it. Okay, so let's go ahead. Sarah, I know on that side you have someone to share, I think. We need a mic for Sarah.
Barcelona has tourism.
Now? Okay. Yeah, here in this table, maybe you can tell me where are you from and what have you chosen?
It's not only.
We are from UCLG Eurasia, from the cities of Kazan and Moscow. The problem in Milan is one of the cities with the most air pollution in Europe. In addition, every summer heat waves have intensified, significantly increasing the mortality rate among its citizens. Our proposal for a solution of this problem in the city of Milano is this one. Reduces park creation and management, reduces urban heat and acts as a filter for air pollution. This one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So I have a group here who chose to work on their city rather than one of the cards given. So I would definitely love to hear from you.
Well, I'm clearly not from Konya in Turkey, but I learned from my neighbor here, my new colleague, that they have a big problem in her city, which is the size of the whole country, the Netherlands, with air pollution. So I was very interested in getting more information. They don't have a problem, which surprised me, with vehicular traffic. She said that they just can go through the city without stopping and starting. But they do have a big problem with industry, which is part of the city. It's not separate. And you have a problem with use of fuels. And even though it's mandated to convert to gas, there are no sanctions. So you can imagine nothing much happens. What did I leave out?
Were there any nature-based solutions that you thought discussed
for this? Well, we also picked the park creation and management card. Did I leave anything?
So you okay. Well, thank you very much. So yeah, it's like facing an issue of air pollution, of health as well, and not just of urban ecosystem restoration. Sarah, do you have anything on that side?
Yeah, I think here you have made a proposal. Can you introduce yourself and...
Hello, everyone. So I'm Cláudia Vasconcelos from the municipality of Valongo. So just like the other group, our chosen city was Milano. And Milano is one of the cities with most air pollution in Europe. And they also suffer with summer heat waves. So as a solution, we thought about the park creation and management in the city that reduces urban heat and acts as a biofilter for air pollution. The challenges that we spoke about are to choose the right species of trees and of plants for the environment, choosing the land, and the operational costs. And about the benefits, we thought about the community building, the health improvements, the well-being and leisure improvements in the community, the local economy development, and health improvements, among others. I don't know if you want to add something. Is that okay? Okay, thank you.
No, your answer was very interesting because it shows even this is not an environmental agenda alone. It has so many connections and impacts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Let's hear from one more group before we go to the panel. So please introduce yourself and share us your results.
We have here Miami. Miami is one of the most exposed cities facing wave erosion and flooding during hurricanes and storm seasons. In addition, sea level rise due to the climate change will severely affect its population. The solution here, river and wetland renaturalization, flood risk reduction, biodiversity, restoration, and establishment of new recreation spaces.
Did you get to discuss anywhere of how you would implement it, what other benefits it could bring? Or you didn't get to that point? Okay. No, it's okay. It's a very short time, but I think like once you start discussing who should be involved, what resistance you might have, what challenges you might have, we start discussing about who should, who to bring to the table, who to decide, and this issue of not bringing the solution from the top, but building that from the bottom. So it's kind of an exercise that we used in a longer learning process to exchange those ideas and learn from each other's cities. So thank you very much for joining us in this exercise. And now we will go to the next session, from local to global action, connecting the dots. Emilia, would you be ready to go? So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And if you want to use that game as part of any exercise, you can access it because it's part of the resilience learning modules that you have on the back. So just a pitch there before passing the microphone. Thank you very much, Emilia.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. And I really hope that you are being encouraged to have discussions also in this interactive way. Before I introduce the next segment, I wanted to check with you how did you find the morning, and how, whether you found it interesting to see how many of the things that we are trying to develop as policy are also taking shape in concrete programs, concrete actions on the ground. This is what we wanted to do this morning. It's important for us to understand that it's not only talking that we do in the networks, that is actually actual action that is taking place on the ground. So do you have any questions or remarks for the sessions previous to this? Any comments that you want to share? Very open to hear that. There you go. Thank you. Please do introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. My name is Mikko. I work with Slum Dwellers International, which is a global movement of people living in slums and informal settlements. I was really happy about this morning. I think yesterday was also really good, but I was saying to some colleagues when we were having drinks last night that, it's a bit of a different language yesterday. Languages of global summits and of these documents and agreements that are made. And I think what we talked about this morning was a bit more sort of the language we often talk to in our organization, which is about work on the ground, working together, communities, local governments. These cards reflect some of the challenges we see in our communities and nature-based solutions. So it's really good to see sort of and connecting those talks from yesterday and then with the work today. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. I think it is important to see the intersection between these things and also ask ourselves the right questions in terms of what role does the different parts of the network play. So there is a role for that global approach, but then there is a role also for national strategies and local and regional action, right? And what we are trying to showcase throughout this week is that all of that is intertwined. There is a connection between what we have heard from the mayors and the young representatives that are working under the project. There is a connection between that and what we are bringing to the international arena. And sometimes it is hard to convey that. It's hard to explain that there is that connection. And that what makes our movement different is that we have that muscle coming up from the bottom up, and the partnerships at a local level, in particular with organizations such as Slum Dwellers International, are just as relevant also at the global level. So I really like your intervention, and I hope that throughout the week we can continue showing the different aspects of that. Any other comments from the room that could make the connection between this session and the rest? No? Okay. Don't complain it was not interactive. I'm taking note of your faces. It's only the start of the week. Look, we are going now to a different session that is going to be looking at localization and the importance that we have been giving to making the Sustainable Development Goals achievable at local level and actually fostering a movement from the bottom up to make the Sustainable Development Goals a reality. You are going to be hearing from different experiences and types of actions. That is typically, localization is typically one of those areas where we talk about very concrete things, but we are also going to talk about ambitions at global level. And I am very pleased that in order to facilitate that session, we have the Secretary General of our section, UCLG ASPAC, Bernardia, that is going to join us now and drive us through localization. You look beautiful, as always. Thank you for joining us, Bernardia. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Andrea. You are so beautiful. We all women are beautiful and all men are handsome. You agree? Okay, anyway, good morning, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I know it's between your lunch. I really hope that we can get your attention, since this is also very important localization session, which actually you have been doing in your region, your cities, your municipalities. And what we are discussing here, of course, we see that there is a mechanism on that. So this could be a very good approach, and I think many of you have so many lessons learned in the localization. But when we're looking at the 2030 agenda, we only have 5 years to go. And in Asia Pacific itself, it shows the figure that if we do business as usual, we will need 42 years to reach all those SDGs, to achieve those SDGs. So this is an issue that we have been seen. And another thing also, of course, when we're looking at these SDGs targets, we know that almost 65% of targets must be implemented at the local level. This is where the voice of local governments, the actions of local governments, and of course, with the local communities has been very important and essential. So in these discussions, I'd like to invite several panels here. We have panelists. We have Mayor from Salah. I think you know her very well because she has been quite influential in policy transformation in this organization, especially in promoting elected women leaders. Let me invite the Mayor of Salah, Mayor Carola Gunnarsson. Please welcome. Let's give a big applause. We also have, you like to have a seat, please? We have also one panelist here from City of Geneva. We have Pascara Pilat. Where is she? Where is she? Ah, yeah, okay, welcome. Then we have Yunus Arikan from ICLE. I think he has been a superstar since yesterday. He has been speaking, and we asked him again to speak this session. Welcome. But I really want to have a good interaction among not only within the panelists, but also with all of you, because what I like to come out from discussion is basically key recommendations. I think some of you are expecting good outputs from this session. So what we are not just discussing the challenges, but also some kind of solutions, innovations, and maybe something that work in your places. And the important also is upscaling it. So for us in UCLG ASPAC section, Asia Pacific, we also been working on the localization together with UCLG. Several local governments have been doing VLR, voluntary local review, and also we have been doing something related to VSR, voluntary subnational review. Several countries already have it. So Now a lot of local governments, especially in Asia Pacific, we have actually contributing to more than 20 VLRs in the region. And now more than 12 are waiting to do this VLR in this region, Asia Pacific. So let's start with Mayor Salah, who is also co-president of UCLG. I think you have been following this localization of UCLG since you joined as a vice president of the organization. So maybe you see some progress that made, but you also see some remaining challenges. So in the connection between different agenda and the necessity of kind of solidarity and choosing these kind of existing gaps. Yeah. So when do you think we can build the progress made under this 2030 agenda, capacity building, monitoring, and reporting, and of course local engagement? So how can we reinforce also policy coherence? I think there are a lot of good cases in which a lot of supports are needed from central government. You can also see from the Mentimeters that we had just now. So what do you think could be governance models to support this localization? You have the floor.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me to this session. As a local political leader, I carry democracy in my hands every day. Because as a local political leader, we are nearest to the citizens. We meet them every day and we know their needs. This is a huge responsibility and a big challenge, but I think that it's also a great opportunity for us because we are service providers but also the guardians of democracy. We can together build a society based on democracy, based on trust. There are many challenges, but we have the opportunities and many of the solutions in our hands. Democracy is made by people, for people. The fundamental rule in a democratic society is the protection of human rights and that everyone is able to raise their voice. When national leaders restrict democracy, we as local political leaders must stand up strongly as the protectors of democracy. The level of democracy enjoyed by the average person in the world is now down to the level of 1985. 60 countries held national elections last year. Of these, 31 are worsening in their democratic level, while only 3 are improving. But elections are not the same thing as democracy. Elections are critical events. They can either trigger democratization, enable autocratization, or aid stabilization of autocratic regimes. I'm convinced that we need to strengthen the work on the local level and to even more highlight the importance of local and regional governments, because they are essential in achieving the goals in the global agendas. They are key political actors. As a local political leader, it's sometimes hard to see and understand the importance of the work you are doing. It's hard to see and understand the role you are playing in shaping and achieving the goals in the global agendas. You are so occupied with your everyday's work. Therefore, we must keep on strengthening the local engagement by capacity building. The Sustainable Development Goals has given us a common language that makes it easier for us to share experiences with the other political leaders, but also to transform the goals into our daily work. We know that more than 60% of the goals can only be achieved by the work done by local and regional governments. Therefore, I was very pleased to notice that several voluntary local and regional reviews have been presented to the high-level political forum previous years. That's one way of highlighting the importance of the local level, because today there is a lack of understanding when it comes to the importance of the local and regional governments and the role they are playing. Reviewing and monitoring is important, but we can also try to estimate the global impact of local initiatives on, for example, reducing CO2 emissions. Hard facts would add value to our long list of good examples. The UN system and member states must recognize the role of local and regional governments as key actors to achieve inclusive, just, and sustainable societies. Now we are making preparations in front of the CSW 69 in New York in March. I attended the Beijing Plus 30 regional review meeting in Geneva some months ago, and my contributions focused on how to strengthen women's political participation and the benefits of women leadership. I listened very carefully to the national representatives when they were presenting their work with the Beijing Platform for Action. Only one representative mentioned the work of the local level. Although we know that local and regional governments are essential in achieving gender equality objectives. This is one example of how local and regional governance are often overlooked internationally in policy making around equality. Local and regional governments are key political actors that foster women's political participation and inclusive local democracy. The negotiation process in front of CSW normally takes place during CSW itself, with a final outcome document in March. Unfortunately, this year follows a different approach, with the declaration set to be adopted by member states on the first day of CSW. Negotiations are taking place right now, and unfortunately, despite efforts from UCLG and other partners, it has been impossible to participate. Nevertheless, it will, of course, be possible to contribute during different events, but this is one more example of how the United Nations and the national level are ignoring the local level. We need a new way of working together at the international level. We, representing the local level, need to bring up the importance of multi-level governance in a multilateral system while securing the importance of local democracy, human rights, and gender equality. Building inclusive societies must be about freedom and rights, but also about trust and transparency. We need to be the participatory democratic voice who bring the sentence, leaving no one or no place behind, to the decision-making table and transform it into concrete actions. With only 5 years remaining to achieve the goals set for 2030, it is crucial to acknowledge the local level as indispensable partners and drivers of SDG localization at the global decision-making tables, promoting a new form of multilateralism. This implies recognizing and supporting local and regional governments and NGOs through enhanced participation in policymaking, financial assistance, and capacity development. We are doing an impressive work. We just need to make its global impact better known. We need to strengthen our collaboration even more. I would like to highlight the policy councils within UCLG, because I think they are important work groups to handle our strategic and political priorities. I think these work groups can become even more important in the decisions about and implementation of the global agendas. And I also would like to highlight the importance of the work done by the sections. We need to cooperate even more. Then we can get a seat at the table. As Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman in the American Congress, said, if they don't give you a seat at the decision-making table, bring a folding chair. And I'm certain we can do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for so inspirational speech. I think this is very clear how important political decisions, processes, and engaging different stakeholders in this. And also you mentioned the importance of gender inclusivity, human rights, and this is very clear that even we're still far to have a big percentage of elected women, especially in Asia. Thank you so much, Mayor. Let me go now to Geneva. I think everyone knows that Geneva City has so many. You are very fortunate because your city is a center of those international cooperation. They have a lot of NGO networks and also a lot of international agencies based in Geneva. So perhaps the questions we have here, because you are also preparing a VLR. I think you're in the process of developing VLR, right? Voluntary Local Review. So maybe you can maybe share here with us how the VLR has changed the perspective of your city, because more and more local governments are interested in VLR. They also, we provided the guidelines, guidance for VLR development. We also have these VLR training programs. And there are so many reasons why local governments prepare and develop VLRs. Some relates also to performance, measurements, also looking at this, they want to be part of the global maps. This is especially for intermediary cities and municipalities, that's what they do. So that's the question we have, why you do and whether there is impact when you have this VLR. The floor is yours, Pascal.
Yes, it's working well. Well, thank you very much, and I'm pleased, happy to be among you today. Thanks a lot also to Emilia and her team for convening us, bringing us together. I really enjoyed the atmosphere of the discussion, so thanks a lot. Indeed, we are fortunate probably as a city to be hosting so many international organizations, so many NGOs. I mean, we're all reading the news, extremely worrisome, of course, worldwide in terms of number of programs, humanitarian programs, health-related programs, which have to close down really from a day to another. They're also concerned in Geneva around international organizations, NGOs, doing tremendous work around the globe and based in Geneva. So it's all also ecosystem and family in a way that will be under close watch in the coming days and months, of course, for all of us. But going back to our discussion today, very interesting to hear Madam Mayor. I will be also reflecting on some of what has been said or also complementing on it. Indeed, we are the first Swiss city to be about to publish a VLR, a voluntary report in 25. So the document is now in the press, and it's really about to be released very soon. And of course, the decision to publish such a VLR is based on many factors that we heard already yesterday, this morning. I will not go too long on those, but of course we know that it enhances transparency. It allows also to measure the impact of public policies. It allows to compare good or best practices across the multi-level of governance, and I will go back to this. And of course, it's a tool also to communicate with citizens. For today, I will simply focus briefly on 3 points. That is how the VLR has helped. I think it's true for Geneva. It might be true for other settings, for other situations. How it has helped on 3 points. First, how it has helped stimulating a dialogue among cities in Switzerland and within Geneva, a dialogue between different departments, between different elected members. So I'll go back to this in a minute. But second, it has also helped to engage with the central government on the SDGs and the role of cities therein. It's extremely important, and again, this is a point I wanted to develop a little bit on. The third point is that it facilitated, and it is facilitating access to international organizations and to multilateral fora. You mentioned, Madam Mayor, the high-level political forum on SDGs. So I would argue that VLR is also a way, a vehicle to connect the local and the global. But it goes, of course, further than that. So as I said, our VLR is at the print on the moment. We had to bring a lot of data, of information coming from different departments. So I will spare you a speech on the methodological approach behind this VLR. You can all imagine also, and some of you experienced this, it's never easy to coordinate among different departments, among different local ministries. And I would say that this is one of the first benefits of a VLR, the exercise in itself before the result, is that it prompts such a cooperation. It's not to say that this cooperation is not existing before that, but it triggers also reflection and a wish in a way, almost an obligation, a duty to cooperate. And that's true between the elected members, between the member of the Executive Council, but also within the administration. So I think the VLR is an antidote to siloed approach, and it's extremely important nowadays. We did in the city of Geneva, we didn't have a strategy on SDG as such. We had sectoral strategy, one on climate change, developed quite recently. So in a way, now we're reporting on the SDGs without having had a strategy as a basis. But it is not a problem. What we had, again, is a number of sectoral strategies, but also an overall commitment by the Executive Council for the legislative period that went from 2025. Yes, we are about to see elections in Geneva. And there was there a commitment for a city to be sustainable, to bring solidarity, to be resilient to climate change. And all those values are also all over the place within the SDGs. So in a way, it's more a terminological issue. It's a way of regrouping a number of policies to document, to report on them. But it's not that the VLR as such has or will be dramatically changing the way public policies are being designed and implemented in Geneva. I said it encouraged a lot of cooperation in Geneva, between the parliament, between the politicians, but it also stimulates exchanges and cooperation between cities in Switzerland. So Geneva will be the first city, but there might be others also to follow on a VLR. And again, beyond the VLR, I see a discussion emerging between some cities in Switzerland about sustainable development, about SDGs. So beyond now the VLR as such, a report as such, but really looking at how they could compare and contrast also what they're doing and how they could better document it and what it means also for the future, for future planning. So I think that those dynamics are, again, extremely, extremely interesting. My second point, say again? I conclude already, okay. So my second point, I have a third one and I will conclude. My second point is that, as I said, the VLR has been a way also to better connect with the national government, with the central government. This connection is key also to bring visibility to your report, to ensure also some policy coherence across a multi-level. We're a federal state. We need those connections, we need those discussions. And we are now, as we speak, in discussion with the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs and another ministry in Bern to see how the VLR of Geneva can be part of the VNR that Switzerland will be presenting at the high-level political forum in 2026. They have a 4-year time span between two reports. Third and last point, and you also alluded to it, Madam Mayor, is that VLR is also a way to better connect the local and the global, to connect local government with international organization. I think there is an opportunity there also around the Forum of Mayors taking place every year in Geneva. It is still European-centric due to the very nature of it, but it is also opening up to all the region. And it's really a unique forum where mayors, where local governments can discuss with the highest level of representative from international organization, from NGO representatives, the one implementing SDGs also globally, and those connections are very important, and the VRA is a way to speak the same language. They're used to also those terms, this terminology, and we believe that while the high-level political forum is a forum of states discussing SDGs, in the future the Forum of Mayors could become also that very similar fora, but for local government, where we could discuss sustainable development and SDGs more broadly. Thank you very much.
I think it's very clear from explanation of Pascal, the reason of having VLR. And you highlighted the importance of policy coherence. Another thing that also remind us actually the works of UCLG and the observatory, a global observatory, in which we're looking at the percentage of VNRs that include local government's perspective there, and the number has been increasing. So I think the point you said is very, very important, how the VLR also relates to VNR and also connect or being mentioned in the VNR as well. Because like in the case of Asia, when we develop VLR, I mean local governments develop VLR, we also negotiated and communicated with central governments, and 2 VLRs in Indonesia were the first VLRs that have been mentioned in the VNR of Indonesia. So I think this is quite a good example. Another point is about data. I think this is also an issue that data has been extremely challenging in many, many cities and local governments. But we have a kind of platform in which all the VLRs, maybe for you who have not been following these VLR developments, there is also a web. This is also managed by research institution based in Japan, IGES, that include all the VLRs in the map, and they also have this data included there. I think this is quite interesting that you can refer to. Last, let me ask our superstar today. Yunus, I think you have been involved in climate negotiation. Maybe you're the only person here who has been maybe joining COPs for maybe how many years? 10 years? 20 years? Oh, wow. 20 years. And so I think you know a lot of stories and you're expert on this. And I think, I don't know if you were in Dubai, COP28 initiated the CHAMS. Let me look at it. What is abbreviation of CHAMP? It's a climate high-level climate champions that was initiated by Emirates, yeah? UAE, right? And now they have 73 countries, or 75 already. And this is a quite also interesting initiative in which they promote bottom-up and top-down kind of governance mechanism. And there must be a lot of challenges in doing so, because I know that some countries in Asia have joined CHAMP, but we didn't see any changes after they joined CHAMP. Maybe it's just because of 2 years, they just joined 2 years ago. So just give us kind of insight here. How can we strengthen the role of local governments in shaping and achieving the climate, SDGs, and other agenda? And perhaps you can also highlight the critical success factors and how you think localization instruments benefit this experience. And you can also share the CHAMP initiatives that has been implemented in COP28. You have a floor.
Thank you, Bernadita. Bernardia, sorry for my pronunciation, excuse me. So thanks for making this discussion in connection to other agendas, sustainability agendas. Let's remember, inside the SDGs, climate has not been touched, and it was addressed to the UN climate negotiations. That has a history since 1990s. And the important thing is that we are entering a new era in this process. And the idea is how to make sure this new era is much better than the previous 30 years of work. Let's also remember the climate action of the local government also was not tied to the UNFCCC. Nicolay started in 91, Urban Carbon Dioxide Reduction Project. There was no UNFCCC, but we were still acting, saying that sustainable livelihoods, renewable energy, waste management are all serving to our people. That's why we're acting on it. But in time, the global process changed and our engagement also changed. It started at all as a problem of northern countries. Then they started to make actions. And then that was a Copenhagen area when everybody was questioning, because it was the aim was going from global north to every country in the world, but everyone will have their different responsibilities. And we reached a Paris Agreement like that. And after Paris Agreement, also the process has evolved. They submitted their national plans. The first versions were not consulted by anyone. The second versions were a bit better. And here, this year, they will submit their third national plans. The beauty of CHAMP is that over these years, local governments were saying that, yes, you have recognized us 20 years later in Paris. In Glasgow, you have acknowledged multi-level action is needed. And in Dubai, you urged every nation to make multi-level action as a default in their national plans. That was our elevation of our progress. And here, the CHAMP is a voluntary initiative of nations. And that is, I think, is the most unique thing. It's not an initiative of the cities. We have already been saying that we are committing for climate neutrality, resilience, but this time it's the national governments who are signing this, saying that the new generation of climate plans, I commit to make it in the consultation and its implementation collaborative with local and regional governments. This was a change of mindset that we have been asking for years and years. That's why we're excited. And in that sense, the other good point of it is that while these 75 countries have been making it as a voluntary initiative, because it is in the Dubai decision for multi-level action, it's also valid for any country who have not signed up to CHAMP. So that's the important thing, that every city and every association should be aware that in November this year, the mandate of the national governments are to bring their national climate plans to consult with their local governments. We had seen examples, positive examples. One of the most remarkable one was Brazil. And Brazil has just announced in Dubai the term climate federalism. Brazil is a federal state, but how this also entered into the national plan. Together with Federation of National Front of Mayors, we said that if your country has signed up, the national mayors are making a resolution, sending to the national government that we are ready to help you. Come to us, talk to us, and we will be happy to report this back. And that is reflected in the presidential decree. The same thing happened to the US Conference of Mayors. They also had a resolution saying that our nation had signed up, we are ready to help, and you see the new US resolution, the US climate plan, much more better than the previous one. The UK, the United Kingdom, did not endorse CHAMP at the beginning. Now they have done it, and they have a fantastic reference to the cities. In Finland, they were not among those countries who have signed up. Mayor of Turku worked with the Finnish association, made it possible. So the benefit is that when you are included in the national plan, national climate plan, you have the right to ask, okay, how will you allocate your finances, and how will you bring your urban development into this process, that this could help us to rationalize our dialogue with the national government. And that also helps to the national government, so that it is not just Minister of Environment, it is Minister of Planning, Minister of Urbanization on board. And when you come to your point, the good news is that we still have 6 months ahead. Yeah. That the countries are still working on their plans. The good practices we also have seen in the global cities in the global south, and also small island states, these are also part of this process. We have seen an example in Panama as well. I think in order to make it success, the local and regional governments should take ownership of this process and approach their national governments and offer their readiness to work with. And I think this is an iterative process. We can make it good practices until Belém.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please give applause to Yunus. Are you enjoying the session or not? Yes? Okay, raise your hands if you are enjoying the session. Okay, we take picture of that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, I think Yunus mentioned the important point of this CHAM, indeed. But we also need to, I think, to strengthen the National Association of Cities and Municipalities, especially in the Global South, because they are quite weak. And how they can also communicate with central governments. But I think the point you raised is very important because in the ministries itself, they work in silo. And local governments is normally under the Ministry of Home Affairs, while the climate things relates to Ministry of Environment, and they don't communicate. I mean, anyway, that's policy coherence that we have been talking about. Now, I know many of you raised hands that you're enjoying the session. Thank you so much. And thanks to, of course, our excellent panelists. But I'd like to also invite several people here for the intervention. Let me get the name. 1 second. We have here Mayor Mehmet Kasim Kolpana from Salifur of Turkey. You want to speak there or you want to speak here? Welcome. Maybe you want to come here, please? Yeah. And I have 2 more interventions you can do in your seat. Please, Mayor.
Yeah. Where are you? Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I can start. And I will speak French. Yes. Maybe you will need a translation. Chers participants, mesdames et messieurs, chers gens, je vous salue respectueusement et chaleureusement. En tant que maire de Şanlıurfa et également ambassadeur de la culture UCLG MEVA, c'est un grand honneur d'être ici parmi vous. Şanlıurfa est la 7e grande ville de la Turquie et existe au sud-est, à la frontière de la Syrie. Et en même temps, la ville la plus jeune de la Turquie. Aujourd'hui, j'ai l'honneur de prendre la parole pour discuter la nécessité de localiser l'agenda mondial et d'accorder plus d'attention à la culture dans ce processus. En tant qu'ambassadeur de la culture UCLG MEVA, ma mission de représenter notre culture et notre patrimoine sur la scène internationale est l'un des indicateurs les plus importants de notre détermination et de notre conviction en la matière. Ce rôle ne nous rend pas seulement responsables au niveau local, mais également au niveau mondial. Nous poussons sans cesse vers de nouveaux projets et de collaborations pour porter notre culture et nos valeurs aux 4 coins du monde. Chers participants, nous vivons dans un monde de plus en plus interconnecté. L'agenda mondial façonne de nombreuses questions cruciales du développement économique et au changement climatique, de l'éducation à la santé. Cependant, dans cette large perspective, les besoins uniques de culture locale, des traditions et des communautés sont souvent négligés. C'est pourquoi localiser l'agenda mondial est la clé pour construire un avenir durable. Şanlıurfa est une ville unique située au carrefour de l'histoire de la culture, connue sous le nom de ville des premiers avec ses 12 000 ans d'histoire profonde. Cette ville qui abrite des sites archéologiques comme Göbekli Tepe et Karahantepe, éclairant l'histoire mondiale, possède un patrimoine qui véhicule des messages profonds pour l'humanité. Cette richesse ancestrale n'est pas seulement un reflet du passé, mais aussi un héritage précieux qui façonne l'avenir et fait la différence sur la scène internationale. Chers participants, l'agenda mondial ne devrait pas se limiter à la croissance économique et aux avancées technologiques, surtout dans des domaines tels que le changement climatique, le développement durable et les droits de l'homme. Des solutions spécifiques doivent être développées en tenant compte des besoins réels des communautés locales, comme les défis locaux tels que la sécheresse en agriculture. Les habitants de Şanlıurfa, avec leur structure économique locale et leurs valeurs culturelles, illustrent parfaitement l'importance de localiser les solutions mondiales. La culture est un élément fondamental qui définit l'identité de chaque communauté et pénètre tous les domaines de la vie. La cuisine de Şanlıurfa, sa musique, ses métiers traditionnels et ses sites sacrés ne sont pas seulement des sources de fierté, mais aussi des éléments indispensables qui définissent l'esprit de cette vie et de ses habitants vivants. De plus, avec nos nuits de Sra locales, Şanlıurfa, reconnu comme une ville de musique par l'UNESCO, met en avant sa culture musicale riche et ses traditions uniques. La culture ne se contente pas de préserver le passé, elle façonne aussi l'avenir. C'est pourquoi la préservation du patrimoine culturel et des traditions locales dans des cadres mondiaux tels que les objectifs de développement durable des Nations Unies est une responsabilité partagée par nous tous. Nous continuons à partager l'héritage ancien de Şanlıurfa avec le monde grâce à des contacts constants avec des organisations internationales, des projets conjoints et des échanges d'expériences. Sur toutes les plateformes, nous invitons les gens à marcher sur les traces des mystères inexplorés dans nos rues qui sont comme un musée à ciel ouvert et dans nos ruines historiques. C'est un exemple vivant de la façon dont le gouvernement local et les communautés peuvent être forts et efficaces sur la scène mondiale. Alors que nous entrons dans les 5 dernières années de l'agenda 2030, je suis convaincu qu'il est temps de prendre des mesures concrètes pour résoudre les problèmes mondiaux et intégrer les besoins locaux dans des politiques mondiales. Unissons-nous pour faire entendre notre voix locale plus fort. Faisons ensemble les pas qui porteront notre sagesse collective, notre énergie et notre culture vers l'avenir. Şanlıurfa n'est pas seulement une ville, c'est le berceau de la civilisation et une géographie sacrée où l'héritage commun de l'humanité est maintenu vivant. Göbekli Tepe et nos autres trésors culturels sont les héritages les plus précieux de notre passé. Nous ne voulons pas seulement préserver cet héritage, mais aussi le partager avec le monde entier. Je vous invite à découvrir l'atmosphère unique de notre ancienne vie de Şanlıurfa et à partager ensemble cet héritage riche à travers des conversations chaleureuses. N'oublions pas que les grands changements commencent par de petits pas et ce sont nous qui faisons ces pas. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, Mayor, also for mentioning the importance of culture. Actually, UCLG has been working a lot on the culture as the 4th pillar of sustainable development. Thank you, Mayor. I still have 2 more interventions from the floor. Let me get Mayor Heidelberg, Mayor Ekwan Bursener. Do I pronounce it right? No? Okay, maybe I. Okay. Please welcome, Mayor.
So,
just from here, up to you.
I sit there. Oh, I can sit anywhere. So, first of all, hello, dear my friends. I think a perspective from Germany, from Heidelberg, well-known international city, but that's not what I'm talking about. I think when we are talking about this topic, Yunus mentioned a crucial point, in my opinion, because it's how we can use at the moment the interfriction and the time, especially for the next coming events, especially about the COP30 meeting. And I think it's very important that we use this time not to think about the COP30 directly, but about the process. And if we're thinking about the process, we all have our international SERPs, we have the covenant cities, we have all the engagements in all the other networks, which are also related to COP30. And I think if we use this time to restart our local engagements, rethink about the program where we are at the moment on the local side, on the national side, also in Germany with the new government, and on the international side, it's the best thing we can do. Because we have a time frame, we have a goal to be there in end of October for November. And if we use the ICLEI program, I think it's a perfect tool to use this. And by the other points which were mentioned before, I think it's very relevant that we have to think about a structure-based policy. So by all our programs which we are talking about, if it's about how we can engage more women in the political level or any racism or any other topic, I think we forget sometimes that we have a clear strategy, that we have a clear plan. So any city who has started this process of dialogue with the young generation, with the older generation, with women, in the social programs, they have to set up these SERPs, because with these sustainable energy or women's action plans or whatever, you get this process online. And if this process is online, you have the annual or biannual reports. The local leaders are changing, but not the program. So it stays in the medium and long-term strategy. And if we do so, then we achieve a higher level of goals, in my opinion. And I think this is very important to go away from, I always say, the rescue boat, where a small group of people are rowing very hard and the supertanker is just going the same direction. So we have to bring this knowledge to the command bridge. I always say that the supertanker is shifting, and if the supertanking is just shifting small ways, we achieve much more than if the rescue boat is really empty of power and missing all goals which we have already signed if we're thinking about the SDGs and the CO2 goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Indeed, it's very important with 6 months, Mayor. I think this is something also that GTF has also been discussing as part of the LGMA as well. So thank you, Mayor, for reminding us for the 6 months time that we have before COP. I have one more intervention. Maybe, you don't have? Okay. Any more questions from the floor? An intervention? Are you happy? Are you happy? Somehow. You are happy somehow. Okay. Just very short, please.
Well, thank you very much, and greetings to everyone. I thought I was a bit taller, but you didn't notice me, Bernard. So firstly, Lance Joel, I'm from South Africa, and we are now in year 3 of localizing the SDGs through the local reviews and the sub-national reviews. And when listening to the panelists, I noted that there are very key similarities to our experience, but I'm also curious to hear from others. And my input is really quite short. In South Africa, we have a national, provincial, and local government. And when we, through localizing the SDGs, when we zoom into each of the 17 SDGs, we realize that there are some of the SDGs that have no real relevance, meaning there's nothing we can do from a local government level, but there are roles and responsibilities for national and provincial. But when you look at the SDG itself, it finds expression in a local area. So it's not your responsibility, but it's here in your local area. So all 17 affects municipalities directly. So we had to find a way of clearly defining on each of the SDGs roles and responsibilities of the 3 spheres of government, local, national, provincial, and clearly understand who is going to report against the what. Because in the absence of that, there's likely to be chaos and or expectations created, and no one is able to deliver it. But also importantly for us, we have realized that working together with other spheres of government, sharing data and information, but more importantly, taking collective decisions are much better and improving the reporting against the SDGs. Those are just some of our experiences. It would be nice to hear from others over the coming days. How are they responding to some of those challenges where there's a dependency on other spheres of government, whether it's national or regional government, vis-a-vis what we do at the local government level. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, we have not discussed so much about challenges. We know that, like financing, also governance mechanism. But thank you so much for your input. And I think this is something also that later on we can discuss further. I only have 5 minutes, but I'm thinking to use my last 5 minutes to ask each of you here, what will be the key takeaway or key recommendations? And you have 1 second per person. If you can speak 1 second per person, then you're excellent. No, I'm just kidding. You can speak a few seconds.
I promise, once again, enhance policy coherence vertically among the different levels, local, regional, national, international, and policy coherence at the horizontal level across thematic global issues and local issues, of course.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My recommendation is that take advantage of the policy councils within UCLG and give them a bigger role in both implementing, but also when it comes to find out the next global agendas.
Thank you.
My recommendation will be to embrace the new national climate plans as part of the package to save also the sustainability goals, and let's demonstrate that multi-level action can really make a change, and that could be the hope for future.
Yes, only 1 second. My recommendation is also to trust to the young people to Yacht also. It's very important for the make a politique.
Thank you so much. That's the way how I conclude the session. So thanks to all of you, and all the speakers and panelists for this wonderful session, and all of you who are still here and enjoying the session.
Thank you very much.
We finished on time, everyone. This is excellent. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
This is Asia Pacific precision. Thank you very much. One thing, we are about to close the morning indeed, and but I wanted to leave one thought with you so that we can address this in the afternoon, because this fish bowl has been like a very interesting bubble in the world, right? It looks like it is a bubble where everybody believes that the Sustainable Development Goals agenda is still the common agenda that we need to pursue. And there is a lot of hope and conviction that the different layers of government are able to work together, and nobody is questioning whether Agenda 2030 is the agenda to go. While we know that there are governments in the world that are not allowing their diplomats to talk about Agenda 2030, and many of the national governments of those countries are here in the room. And so I just want to leave you with a thought for the session that we're going to be having in the afternoon, that is going to be looking forward, that is going to be talking about loss and damage and the climate action. I'm looking over there because I have Yunus and Firdaus who are going to be guiding that session. I invite you to think about this. So it is good to see the commitment. I think the movement is demonstrating a commitment with localization, but we also need to, to think whether we need to address the challenges that others are bringing to us with that agenda. And I also hope this afternoon we will hear from our feminist voices and the agenda that we need to bring to CSW, despite the fact that the negotiations are closed. You have been fantastic, a little bit too quiet for my taste. I hope the mood goes up this afternoon. Have a very good lunch and be back here at 2 o'clock. Thank you.